move to amendment number 1, Sims 1, which is a new clause, page 2 after line 5. Mr Sims.
Thank you, Chair. Look, if it pleases you, I will just make some general remarks about the 3 amendments in their totality, rather than standing up and speaking on each individually. As foreshadowed by my colleague, the Honourable Tammy Franks, MLC, what these amendments are seeking to do is to reinstate the provisions relating to the moratorium on rental evictions and rent increases for those who are experiencing financial hardship as a result of COVID-19. By way of background, members may recall when I started in this place in May, this is one of the first bills that came before me and the rest of this chamber for consideration. And at that time, I argued for the provisions to be extended for another 12 months, up until May 2022. The Legislative Council didn't agree to that. However, the government did agree to a September extension, and I certainly welcomed that. But now, as I warned at the time, we're at the situation where these provisions have expired. Indeed, they expired on the 1st of September, so there is nothing in place. And I am very concerned, the Greens are very concerned, about the plight of people who are experiencing financial distress at the moment, in particular people who are renting. We have had lots of queries from the community to our office about this. We know that there is a significant rental stress being experienced in the community, Chair. We know that we're in the middle of a rental affordability crisis here in South Australia because there is not enough affordable housing available, and people who are renting are finding it really, really difficult to find accommodation, which means, of course, that it's vitally important that we don't see people being evicted in the middle of this economic crisis. To give the chamber a bit of an insight into some of the experiences of our constituents, Chair, I have been given some information from the Anti-Poverty Network here in South Australia. They have shared some testimonies with me from people who are experiencing rental stress. These are de-identified, but I will read some of the stories onto Hansard because I think it's important that members get some of this information in terms of understanding the importance of these provisions. So in terms of the impact of rent increases, this is what one person reported. Once my rent had been paid, I had $50 left for a fortnight to pay electricity, to pay gas, food, petrol and other costs such as medication as I suffer from lung conditions. The amount I have received is seriously not realistic. It is not enough to live on, let alone eat. The stress of ensuring this each and every day has taken a toll on my emotional and physical well-being. Another has said, Chair, I have 3 daughters, one 9, another 2 and another almost 2, and it stresses me to no end, wondering if I'll be able to afford to feed them after paying rent. We've had our power disconnected so many times I've lost count, just because I pay my rent first. Once in particular, it was cut off from 5 p.m. when our youngest was a newborn. Another says, my partner and I can only afford to pay rent because we are splitting costs with our 2 adult children, who too cannot afford to rent on their own. We and they are stuck co-renting, even though they would like to have their own place, and my partner and I would enjoy living our lives without adult children. And of course, Chair, we know that that is becoming all too common. The scenario of ageing parents having younger adult children coming to live with them, something that I'm sure is not desirable for many parents as well as their children. As much as I love my mum and dad, I wouldn't enjoy bunking up with them, and I know that's a situation for many in the community. But alas, that's the situation they find themselves in because of this rental affordability crisis. Another says, I have to meal plan all the way down to the pieces of fruit I eat to meet the nutritional guidelines for my kids. I often go without so my kids can have what they need. We never go out. Every cent is spent on cost of living. And finally, I pay $350 a week for a house. This is what another constituent has said. And the house is falling apart. I'm too scared to say anything in case I end up homeless with 3 kids, one being a newborn. So these are just some of the stories of people who are experiencing financial stress, people who are renting and will be hard hit if these provisions are not extended. Just to talk very briefly about the exact nature of what I'm proposing here in terms of the amendments, members will note the reference to backdating the provisions, so they would take effect from the 2nd of September because the measures expired on the 1st of September, so it would apply to people from that period up until the end of December. As I stated from the outset, Chair, it's certainly my preference and that of the Greens that the provisions be extended up until May, but I recognise that there was not the support to do that, and that's why I'm proposing December. These provisions are aligned with the other elements of the bill, and I think, to the Honourable Connie Benares's point, I think this is a fair compromise and one that would certainly give people who are experiencing financial hardship some confidence and some security as we head into the second half of the year, recognising that we are still very much in the throes of this pandemic and the associated economic crisis.